Welcome back, everyone. In our next session, we're diving into the world of AI in financial services, discussing its innovation, regulation, and future potential. Please join me in welcoming our very own Eamonn Sheridan, financial market analyst at ForexLive, our moderator, who will guide this insightful session with our panel. Eamonn, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Despina. Welcome, everybody. This is the pinnacle of the summit, just in case anyone was wondering. This is what it's all about. And look, I just wanted to go through the quick blurb of what this was all about before we introduce ourselves. As AI is becoming, and I've written a few notes down, AI is becoming more sophisticated, expanding use cases across financial landscape, and we've got heaps of regulation beginning to start building, especially in the EU, and that's going to impact APAC, who are just probably a little bit behind the curve there. So we're going to be talking about how AI regulation looks, which players in the market are going to be most impacted, how VCs assess AI startups, where is AI value. We'll be looking at AI and dev, how technologists are going to be impacted, and where you guys see it going personally and how you use it in your work. So yeah, as Despina said, I'm Eamonn Sheridan from ForexLive. We're a 24-hour, 5-day-a-week financial analysis website, and I use AI as part of my job there, but I also use it in my own personal trading. It helps me code. I can ask AI to code something for me, and then I go and correct all its mistakes when the code doesn't run. But it's really helpful like that. So before we get started, can I just get everybody to introduce themselves? And we might start with you, Jim, if you don't mind, please.
Sure, I'm Jim Hogan. I'm the Chief Innovation Evangelist for Google Cloud, and my job is to fly around the world and evangelize the importance of culture when it comes to innovation. So that's a little bit about me.
Charles Guan, I'm the CTO of Rich.co. So we are an AI decisioning company, mainly helping banks to make decisions better, more efficient, and safely. My day-to-day is looking after R&D and product. So we do analytical AI a lot and start to introduce generative AI into our products.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maria. I am the General Manager for PLUGIT. Our expertise and where we service is the Forex brokerage industry. We are doing technology on MT4 and MT5 platforms and soon to also be C-Trader. Our products tend to help Forex brokerages with the aim of attracting new business as well as helping them to streamline and automate the processes of what they already do. Where AI is coming into it for us, it's not that our products offer AI at the moment, but it is definitely something that we know. It's the direction of all financial technology products and where the space has to take us. And so obviously for us, it's a matter of hearing our customers and also working on ideas of what's coming next with our products.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, guys. Look, I don't know where everybody in this room is in terms of their understanding of AI. I know my understanding of it is very rudimentary. So if you guys can explain stuff to me, I'm sure you'll be explaining stuff to everybody. But just so we can before we get into the gist of it, can we just get a bit of a personal, how do you use AI in your personal life? Away from your business, or do you at all? Yeah, just give us a couple of words or a little bit on how you use it personally.
Okay, well, I'm autistic, so most recently we've been training an LLM that's based on coming back with empathetic and instructional ways about how to view the world around you and how to help people understand not only your place in the world, but their place when they're interacting with you. So also allows me to generate user guides so that I can tell people how to interact with me, and so it's it's a wonderful altruistic thing that my partner is building. So that's what's going on in my personal life.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Jim. Charles.
Yeah, for the generative part, I use it to write emails, help me to fix my LinkedIn post, or even create images for my LinkedIn post. And it was very useful also to help my son, who is 12 years old, to write a speech. And to just be in the tone of 12 years old is very effective, much better than I can do.
Thank you, Charles. Maria?
I would say definitely in our day-to-day at work. I mean, it's something that a day doesn't go by where we're not using it, whether it's for content, whether it's for emails, whether it's even anything as simple as trying to just do reference letters or things like this. It helps in that aspect. And I think on a personal level at home, yeah, definitely. I think my 10-year-old and my 8-year-old are usually the ones that are dictating to Alexa what's happening in the house and what else is going on, as well with Siri and all that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. All right then, well, let's get into the meat of it. And I've got a few notes that I'm going to be referring to. To begin with, so the bright side of this world-altering technology, I'm curious to hear what are the most exciting or groundbreaking use cases or developments within AI that you're involved with in creating, or that you might be see happening elsewhere that are really interesting to you.
Yeah, so the cool part is I don't really create anything anymore. I just get people excited about creating stuff. But watching my partner put together her company and train that LLM is extremely exciting. I think it's going to be a billion user product. And you know, just I actually used it in having a business conversation where I had to kind of prepare and be very focused and directed. And after my 42-year career, you know, just like 4 weeks ago, I used a product that she created called Star Guide to explain what my situation was, explain who I was meeting with, and explain that person is also ADHD, so that it would kind of spit out a strategy for me to handle that. These are the type of things that just make humanity communicate with humanity better. And I very much enjoy that. Our clock started running. We just lost like 7 minutes. Woo! Sorry, I'm easily distractible. And so, you know, and then also in work, you know, especially in financial services, you know, I see a lot of people that are doing awesome things with allowing people to access tools and technologies that previously weren't available for them. And then I also, you know, watchdogging all the 1,000 evil actors that are trying to use AI to do evil things. So for everybody who's trying to prevent fraud, there's 100 bad actors that are trying to do fraud better. So so keeping an eye on that very much. I don't want to digress. The clock started. I got all excited.
Charles.
We have been using AI for quite a long time, if we count AI broadly as including the analytical and decisioning AI. It has been also used in financial services. For example, many lending decisions actually made on machine learning models and made on sort of knowledge that acquired from human to make those decisions. So that has been around for a long time. Generative AI actually make that process much easier as well, as it can actually help you to build a model faster and help you to code. And there are some very specific generative AI use cases as well. So the common one now is the virtual assistant. So we see a lot of bank advisors or sort of virtual assistants in lending currently being deployed. And the other area is actually coding. Because now many of the IT systems, people start to use the Copilot, those sort of coding assistants to help improve productivity. And even in creativity side, there are, you know, you can use tools to create a song, to write the lyrics, and also to get the tune as well. So there are many different use cases out there.
Just before we move on to Maria, I wanted to touch on your distinction there between machine learning and AI, because for me in the trading field, I've seen and used machine learning clustering techniques to see how things are showing me in prices. How is AI, do you think, advancing that sort of use?
So categorically, like AI is a very large set, which will include different methods, including machine learning. Machine learning itself, that will include deep learning and other kind of specific algorithms. The generative AI is actually a smaller set of deep learning where a particular algorithm is used to predict what's the next word. And because it's sort of advanced in technology, it can do a lot more than just trying to predict the next word. For example, to write an article to even create images or create sounds. So with those capabilities, then currently it has been used in many different areas, like reading of the existing policies, advising you how to use those policies, how to make certain decisions, and also to help you to write code. And like with code, and there are many, many things that you can do now.
Thank you very much. Maria.
So for us, it's something where, as I had mentioned before, we're using it a lot in the space of our marketing teams being able to come up with content and images, as we were saying before as well. So it definitely helps in that aspect. It's speeding up the process. So it's not anything, when you think of AI, it's whatever people can do and basically making it better and basically speeding up the process and being able to take in what would take a human 10 days to learn something, a matter of minutes, obviously doing it through machine learning and data analysis through that. Other than marketing and areas that we're trying to look at and trying to say and understand where we want to go with it with our products, in this field, obviously in Forex industry and as such, you're seeing a lot of it coming through as trading platforms. So people telling you that AI trading platforms and what they can do. Taking a closer look and what I would say to our audience about where they should then be cautious of what they're looking at. Is it actually AI trading or is it algorithmic trading? More often than not, it is algorithmic trading, let's say with aspects or AI-powered features inside, but not necessarily. So I definitely would recommend looking into what it is that you're getting from your technology providers when they're telling you that it is AI. A lot has to go into it, and as far as what we're looking at, it wouldn't be on the trading side of saying that we want to go AI on trading products simply because we do not have a platform ourselves. Our products are more on the plugin side, as I mentioned, offering the services to the clients of the brokers, so helping them to offer services down that line. So what we do, we're trying to make it better, basically, with the help of AI, looking at services, for example, on a CRM, taking a Forex broker's sales funnel, taking a look at how they onboard their customers and being able to take all that data of seeing the journey that they take their clients through until they're actually converted, and then say, right, how can our CRM work with that data to then be able to follow that pattern and be able to give you from output A to output B, of then helping them to clarify better and optimize their sales process of leading that customer on that sales path to obviously enhance their conversion ratios. That's just one aspect. We're obviously looking at it with our other products as well when it comes to, for instance, copy trade. As I mentioned, a lot of people would then say, okay, let's look at AI and trying to identify patterns in the market and be able to offer out alerts on what would happen in the market. Again, not something that we're offering. For us on the copy trade, it would be more something in our solution to say that what we would like and ideally where we want to go with the product is using AI to help rate and score the providers. So rate and score the traders to be able to then take in the data of their performance, their risk, their consistency, and once that's being scored, throw that into the system to be able to then say that people are obviously able to make a better decision when it comes to picking a trader to copy. It's these kind of projects that we're looking into and saying that if we're looking at PLUGIT's future technology of where we want to take our products, as I mentioned, from A to B, of making it better, that's where we feel AI will be contributing.
Okay, so that copy trading thing sounds really interesting. Assessing the traders that you are copying. Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right. I think I've got a specific question actually for you, Maria. Where do you think AI has been most efficient across the financial services sector? Where do you think it works well, maybe where it doesn't work quite so well?
As I mentioned, I definitely think it's on the right path. It's got a long way to go. I definitely don't think that where we are now... Free drinks?
Oh, great. Now we're with
Everyone's going for free drinks.
Don't go for drinks yet.
I forgot the question now. Where do I think it's been useful? Right, there we go.
So where it's efficient, where there's room for improvement?
So as I was saying, I definitely think it's on the right path. I do think it's got a long way to go. As I mentioned before as well, I do think it's something where people are trying to pass off a lot of algorithmic trading as AI trading. It's useful in the sense that it's helping already with identifying and bringing in kind of analyzing past data. But the whole point of AI and machine learning is to be taking in new data and constantly learning new things, as opposed to algorithmic, which is literally setting already preconditioned rules that it has to abide by and spit out an answer.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for your patience. All right, now, given that we're at a financial services event, I might turn to you, Jim, and ask you maybe just to go a little bit broader on where you think AI might be useful in financial services, what you're seeing with Google, etc.
Well, mostly people are trying to, the financial services companies are trying to prevent fraud. So very, very important. And like I said, they're not only working against the perpetrators that are trying to commit fraud, but you're also working against bad actors that are building AIs to try to compete with the fraud prevention AIs and try to become smart in that regard. So there's a fraud prevention, and then there's a countermeasures in place for that as well. So also personalization, helping individuals understand the financial services better, breaking into new markets by allowing people to educate themselves using tools and using generative AI as chatbots and things like that, and having very personalized service with that. So there's a lot of social good going on there. Most important part that we have to realize is that AI is, or generative AI, when it starts to learn, that it is going to be learning from data that it's consuming. It also has a defect called hallucination, where it will actually start making stuff up. And for financial services, it creates a risk when you have AI that starts to hallucinate and maybe not come up with the best answer. So something else to look out for. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. That's interesting what you say about hallucination, because in my role at ForexLive, sometimes I'll feed it a government report and say, can you please give me a quick summary of what's going on here? And it often adds, at the end of the summary, it adds its own interpretation of it. And that's where I come in and go, no, that's completely on the wrong track. But I didn't know you called it hallucination. I'll have to stop feeding it mushrooms or something.
Yeah, it's what's interesting with the artificial intelligence is we're actually creating, cognitive processes in machines, and we have to make room for that in the whole neurodiversity spectrum as well. So even neural networks that are being created artificially, especially with the amount of humans that are interacting with them, are they just an extension of our own human neurodiversity, or do they have the same defects that will they develop the same defects that certain issues that people are trying to deal with. So it's very interesting to see as all these things come together. So,
all right, thank you very much, Jim. Charles, same question for you. On a broader financial,
if we talk about generative AI, I think most useful use cases at this moment is where you don't need a precise answer, where consistency and accuracy is not sort of your priority. Then generative AI can perform really, really well, like advisory, like helping you understand the new things, summarize documents. Those things can work really, really well. But if you're going to make a lending decision where millions of dollars are at stake, or a trading decision, then you probably don't want to purely rely on generative AI, because the accuracy is not there, and it may tell you different things if you ask the same question 3 different times. So there are places where it's really great. There are places that you probably won't work at this moment. The other thing quite important is actually how you write prompts. Because, like, for example, your example, Eamonn, around not provide its own opinion after reading the documents. So, like, by writing the prompt sort of in a certain way, you can avoid those. And to get to a very accurate answer, then there are many tips of how you can write prompts to make that work. And especially when that's embedded into a system, then those prompts are very important because that will drive it to go in certain pathway, and you will have a better answer, you have a more consistent answer. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Maria, I know you discussed about how you're using it in your business. Do you have any broader things that you'd like to add on that?
No, I definitely agree. I mean, when it comes down to it, and what's one of the issues that we tend to look at is understanding, setting up a right team for it. Obviously, being able to get all these new jobs that are coming out of these machine learning engineers, you've got your data scientists engineers, and being able to train up the team that you already have of all your developers, making sure that their understanding of the project is in line with what it is that you're trying to develop. The vast amount of data that also has to be collected and how it's to be collected and organized, making sure that that's all in line, making sure that that all goes in correctly as well, to be able to then say, when you're looking at your recipe of trying to come up with your AI projects and what are you going to be doing next, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of being able to say, there where a human, and as both of them had already mentioned previously, you're getting an answer, but is it correct? So when you are going through all of this and you are trying to develop something, you're getting all that data, organizing, pushing through. Once you've collected it, analyze it, see if it's actually correct, if it is responding the way it meant to be, and then it's back to the drawing board again by trying to recreate, tweaking, changing, and testing again and going back. So it is a long process. That's also where I was saying that it's got a long way to go. But yeah, definitely on the right and very interesting path.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, one thing I sort of thought about was, and we don't have a regulator here, which is maybe not too bad a thing, but I did want to ask, we've got AI has huge benefits, it's introducing new risks. What do you think might be the most pressing concerns for the regulators? I would have liked to ask a regulator this, but perhaps, industry insiders can think where the regulators going to be going with this. Charles, maybe you'd like to start with this?
Yeah, sure. So on the banking side, then there is no sort of requirement from APAC to say use this or don't use that. But the general principles as to how credit risk is managed, how overall risk is managed, the transparency required, the prudentials required, those things are still there. So the principles are there. And you can use the different method, you still need to comply to the existing regulatory framework. So I know here we have responsible AI principles published by the government, and the regulation direction is also sort of looking at risk-based for higher risk decisions or use of AI, then much higher requirement will apply. For much easier, simpler, less risk use of AI than just knock yourself out. So, yeah.
And Jim, would you like to add anything on this question where you think the regulators might be taking a close look?
Well, the regulation of new AI is difficult because of the, not only the hallucination aspects, but how do you regulate something that can actually learn on its own? And that's where I hear most of the challenges taking place. And how do you actually limit, those particular products as they get access to more and more information from actually changing the construct of what they actually live in. So, because that's really what the point of generative AI is to have something that's actually generating, building and growing, which is difficult to regulate because it's in an artificial paradigm. So.
Maria, you're based in Europe, or the Mediterranean. I imagine that the EU and a little bit ahead of us here. So you've probably got an inside view of where the regulators might be looking at.
So for us, again, as a technology provider, we're not needed to be regulated. It's, again, up to our clients to be regulated, and obviously they're the ones under the microscope, let's say, especially of SciSec. When one main concern, let's say, for the Forex brokers, for our clients, what they would be looking at is when we do discuss anything that has to do with AI, Obviously, it comes back to data. Obviously, it comes back to the personal data of their clients and how that's being handled, how that's being managed. Is it ethical? Is it correct? So we're protecting people's privacy and all of this stuff. So it comes back more on that level as being number one concern for them. And then also, as let's say one of the downfalls of how AI then hits our clients is with the fraud and fraudulent registrations from their customers, deep fakes as well of what they're coming through as actual documents and personal documents that they're applying to open accounts with them. So not anything that we do personally, but definitely when it does come down to doing identification, companies that are working on verifying documents and verifying identity documents of their clients, I think that would definitely be one of the areas that needs to be heavily regulated and obviously monitored to make sure that AI or any companies that are dealing with it in that aspect is ethical and fair for people.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. All right. I've still got a little bit more to go on regulation. Just more specifically, I suppose, here in the APAC region. We're already seeing legislation in China and, as we mentioned, in the EU. So I guess there's going to be a move towards some sort of global regulatory framework. How do you think they're going to balance encouraging innovation and growth in the industry against regulations that might stifle that? Maybe, Jim, would you like to start with that sort of tension, I guess?
Sure, I'll just scrape, very low level, let Charles go deep. So, but the problem with global regulation is like, as opposed to global standards, which exist and people have undertaken things like, standards that exist that are on a global scale. Regulation is it's also fed by the political climate and the politics involved with a particular region. So very, very difficult to have some kind of global regulation. And so I think that government entities and bodies and regulatory authorities are leveraging what they see coming across, but and of course saying like this person was first and how does it look, or this country was first and how does it look, but I don't know that we're going to have like a global standard global regulation like we do with global standards. So I don't know if that makes any sense or not.
Yeah, no, that does. The difference between standards and regulation. Charles, you've got the business obviously coping with this, I guess, as you expand.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think there are many levels of standard regulations. One side is, as Jim mentioned before, the difficult part is when the model grows, when it learns, and it becomes more advanced, how that can be regulated. As like, for example, what kind of data is trained on, how the benefits are distributed, when the productivity improves, when some jobs are changing or being replaced, how those will be managed on one side. And the other side is like more the application side, like how AI is used in banking, how AI is used in financial services, or even healthcare. So, and then on the bad people side, whether that can be used in news, like to what level, and how deepfake and all those things can be prevented, and on the fraudulent use as well. So there is that whole application and prevention side. So yeah, I agree with Jim. It will be very difficult to have one global standard, but there will be things like principles everyone agree, but then there will be specific standards and regulation being developed in different areas, different regions, and also different industries.
And Maria, I guess in your business, you're seeing different demands from different clients to cope with different regulations, and how do you see it perhaps developing on a broader global sort of, given that you're seeing different inputs from different areas?
Yeah, I think the same way, but it wouldn't be unheard of to say that one regulator would probably start off and then you would see the rest either trying to follow or seeing what works and what doesn't work, kind of paving the way, which one's going to be brave enough to go first. They are trying to make examples even as things go on. So when something actually happens, when something goes wrong, and then coming back and making an example of that company or whatever has happened, and then trying to use that to also define which way is the way to go on this.
Are you seeing any particular examples of particular countries that might be picking out something that they're really interested in?
But
Or?
you do see from time to time, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I have seen, let's say, for instance, where in the past you could see, not necessarily with AI, anything, whether it was even with prop trading or things like this, where they were saying that regulation is still going to come into it. You can see that Cytec, for instance, in Cyprus might make an example of one company or say that they're going to clamp down on something, and then you'll slowly start to see that it'll trickle onto the other regulators as well to try and follow suit, or say, no, that's not the way we want to go, and defines and actually gives them a different direction.
Okay, awesome, thank you. All right then. Now, I guess a question with AI, given the huge demands on energy that it's making, or it apparently seems to be making, sustainability, consumption. Yeah, where do you see AI going, and sustainability, and energy consumption? Jim.
Well, it's being that AI and ChatGPT was the fastest adopted technology in history. When you start looking at how technology was adopted, going back to all the different industrial and technological revelations or revolutions happened, and within 4 months, ChatGPT went to 200 million users. So the demand is there, and the problem is that it's not like any other technology. Where when we saw like when the World Wide Web went crazy and people were putting out web pages on servers, and people said that at that point there was going to be a lot of energy required, and of course there is. But now we're talking about something that's actually processing a great deal of information. The actual processors that are being used are intense, resource intense, and yes, as these things grow and as more people build their models, it is not something that's been very thought through in the future, because it's like nothing we've ever seen before. So the adoption of these technologies is a whole big a big problem on its own, because it's wildly successful as far as the adoption and the diffusion of innovation and the arc, as far as how many folks jumped on this bandwagon. So there are going to be very concerning things that need to be asked about as far as that whole power and resources, and is it all very good? A lot of people say that AI is going to take away certain things, and things will be ramped down, but that isn't going to be for quite a long time. So I didn't really answer the question other than saying yes, I agree. There's a problem.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's an answer.
I think the current problem is pretty more, as Jim said, is because the demands grow so fast. And in the industry, the tech industry is pretty more speed over efficiency. So I just need to be there, grab that many users as a big player. So there's not that much consideration on efficiency. But however, if you look at innovation trend, there's a lot on making the algorithms more efficient. There's new innovation in the chipset on the GPU side or the processing side, which will catch up. Those will eventually make it more efficient, make it run better, use less energy. I think it will start to catch up. On the other side is the benefit of using that in research, which will, for example, predicting climate in the future, finding new material that can be used, even new energy source. Like some of the advancement on fusion energy is come from deep learning and the use of similar techniques. So those things will also catch up, that will potentially create a solution for many of the problems today. But it will take time. It won't be next year. It will probably take a few years. But it will balance out in that way as well.
And Maria, your thoughts on the sustainability of the whole AI?
Of AI as a whole?
Well, if you have anything to add.
Not
to
really
that.
to add. I think it was
was
pretty much covered. But as a whole, where it's going, sustainability, yes. I don't think there's any other direction now. It's already come too far to go back. now where people might be scared, or people, if you look back at history, people back in the day were scared of electricity when it first came. So it's only normal to be scared of something when they don't fully understand, let's say. But as far as it becoming sentient and being able to take over all human race and things like this, yes, absolutely not anything that I would think would be something to be scared of. It's got a long way to go, as I mentioned earlier. I think it's only up from here.
Yeah, I thought you guys made a really good point that yes, it's using energy, but in the work that it's doing, it's actually cutting down, it's making things more efficient. So, yeah, so maybe
it's adding a lot more value than I think the damage that it's doing, and provided regulation, provided that everything comes into place to be able to monitor and say that it's being used correctly, because as they were mentioning as well before, a lot of damage can be done, fraud, deep fakes, all of this. It's something that if it's managed correctly and people are using it ethically, it's got so much value to add.
Okay, awesome. All right, now we're going to try and fit in some audience questions. Just before we do, we might wrap this up, and I'm going to ask you each what you're most optimistic about and what you're most pessimistic about. But we might do it the other way around, just so we finish on a high note. What are you most pessimistic about, Jim?
No, I'm a very positive person, okay. So I'm going to just. I'm very optimistic about the things that are coming out for social good to make humanity understand humanity better, and that's really the things that I've been latching onto, and because I think that it allows the most value and the most altruism in the world. So that's what I'm most looking forward to is watching these things come together.
Yeah, I'm most optimistic about is the productivity improvement of the current method, generative AI. It will change quite a lot how we work. I already seen like some of my colleagues' productivity increase 5 times, 10 times by using the tools. I think those will be more and more common. Many things will change for the better. I'm most pessimistic about is probably the technology, because I think the current generative AI probably will never reach the artificial general intelligence level. We'll probably need other methods which are appearing. So it will have a technology change which will push up further.
So we're waiting on further developments in...
We probably won't wait.
We're a long way?
No, sorry. I mean, we probably don't need to wait. We can use the technology now as in those suitable use cases, and but the technology will grow further.
Maria, pessimism and optimism.
Optimism, I would definitely say that for our industry, I think is fascinating what you can learn, how it helps you to speed up the process of learning what you need to know to be able to keep up in this industry. I would say not just for our industry, though. I would say I'm very optimistic, even when it comes to other industries like medical, what it will be able to help to do for humanity as far as diagnosing issues and things like this. Self-driving cars, I think, was one of my most optimistic. If one that comes to Cyprus, I'll be absolutely happy not to have to drive my kids to every football practice and horse riding and jiu-jitsu and all that. So on that side is my optimism. Pessimism, I don't think it's so much pessimistic. I think it's more just caution of, as I mentioned before, just making sure that it's something that is used correctly, that is used ethically and in the right way, not to harm.
Just as an aside, I've heard traffic in Cyprus is pretty horrendous, yeah? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, now we have just a couple of minutes left, ladies and gentlemen. I know Jim's been looking forward to some audience questions, but if you do have any questions for any of our panel participants, that would be fantastic. We'll provide you with a microphone so that we can hear you. Yeah, audience questions.
We have time for like one, so get together and pick the best one. Okay, we've got one.
All right, there's a microphone on the way.
Hi, thanks for the panel. It was really nice listening to you guys.
Just hold it really close and speak up.
All right, thank you. So my question is about how to protect the copyright, because especially in the sense of generative AI, it's taking everything in and providing something not so unique, but kind of unique. So what's your take on protecting what's already been done and pushing that innovation and making sure that we don't stop creating the new things that the generative AI then can take in to progress, so that we don't get stuck in just taking in what's there and focusing more on adoption than innovation?
I guess that's a good question for Mr. Google.
I suppose so. And what I heard is that you know, we're basically training the generative AI, and the documents that exist are kind of stagnant. But what we've recently seen is that the AI is able to actually generate its own training data and other things based on, you know, example data sets. So don't know if it's hitting it right on the dot, but we have a lot of things in the not just in financial services, but like in the medical industry, where we are generating you know, massive quantities of synthetic data that are being used by, you know, the AI just kind of generating its own data, following a construct that's been given. And that application has been extremely effective to be able to do that. Actually making the implementation and the deployment of the models more effective by generating its own data to actually train against the training that's there. So, and to test against the training that's there. So I don't know if that's specifically answered, but you can always hit me up on LinkedIn. I can go further if you'd like.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Thank you. Look, we've just got a few seconds left. Any final words from our panel? All right.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Don't forget who our panelists are. We've got really important people. Maria from PLUGIT, Charles from Rich Data, and Jim from Google. So please stay in touch with all these guys, and they will answer further questions later over LinkedIn. Thank you, everybody. Can we get a big round of applause for these guys, because they were awesome.